Texas police chief backs up the police who slammed an arrestee. The man is having a bad day. He's intoxicated. He then goes to the jail. He's handcuffed. All right? He's handcuffed. And they break his neck. Here it is. All right? So per Atlanta Black Star, they did a remarkable job on the story, making sure we are aware. The attorneys for Christopher Shaw, a Texas black man who was left paralyzed following an arrest, have issued a statement after this surveillance video was released this week. The footage shows Beaumont police officer James Gillen. You're about to see it here. He brings Shaw into the county jail and then he does that, okay? Shaw was arrested on public intoxication, okay? The officer appears to choke the 42-year-old before flipping and slamming Mr. Shaw to the concrete while he's handcuffed. That's a no-no. You do not do that. The incident left the man with a broken neck. Why? Because he was handcuffed. That's why. He was handcuffed and slammed to the floor head first. That will break anybody's neck. All right? I want to show you a still of the officers holding him down as if he's getting back up. He's not getting back up. KFDM reported the release of the surveillance footage comes after Shaw pleaded guilty to assaulting a peace officer during the summer and received probation. His attorney said in a statement on Wednesday, quote, Mr. Shaw was threatened with 20 years behind bars despite being paralyzed by Beaumont police officer James Thomas Gillen. Considering his current condition, Mr. Shaw felt that it was in his best interest to receive a deferred prosecution sentence, which will eventually result in all charges being completely dismissed. So last July, Mr. Shaw, who is represented by civil rights attorney Chance Lynch, Harry Daniels, and Ben Crump, filed a lawsuit against the officer, the city of Beaumont, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, and Core Health, that's the medical contractor for the jail. Before Gillen took Shaw into custody on June 12, 2021, he was transported to a local hospital due to signs of impairment, the filing alleges. After being discharged, he was sent to jail. At one point, while other officers had complete control over Mr. Shaw, Gillen decided to body slam the man, causing him to land on his head. The lawsuit said immediately upon contact, Mr. Shaw lost consciousness. After defendant Gillen stood up, Mr. Shaw laid motionless on the floor with blood pouring from his head due to a laceration on his head from the impact on the concrete floor. First responders were called to take him back to the hospital for the potential injury to his spinal cord. However, after being evaluated, he was transferred back to the facility in a wheelchair, and he had a noticeable slouch, unable to control his body. Officers had to dress him in the inmate uniform before he was placed on a chair in a cell, according to the lawsuit. While in there, he fell on the floor. He called out to jail and medical staff for help, but allegedly was ignored. Due to his condition, he defecated and urinated on himself and had to lay in it for hours because, once again, they ignored him. He began to call for help again, but the jail and medical staff waited before they called EMS. Put it up. They finally called EMS. The complaint states, when EMS arrived, they found his body was swollen. His body was swollen. That's called severe trauma. And told jail officials he should have been brought in for treatment immediately. They were upset to find someone in this condition. It was determined that he suffered spinal fractures. He had to undergo multiple surgeries. He is now confined to a wheelchair. Let us be clear, the quote says, "We firmly believe that our client did not make any unlawful contact with the officer." What the video makes absolutely clear, however, is that Officer Gillen not only assaulted Christopher Shaw while he was handcuffed and in custody. The attorneys added, Officer Gillen should be prosecuted immediately, and everyone involved should be held liable for the severe and life-altering injuries Christopher Shaw sustained. Put up the chief. Beaumont Police Chief Jimmy Singletary stated in the past about the case, quote, "There's about an hour of video, including our body cam footage of the arrest of Christopher Shaw for public intoxication. The footage includes his actions at the hospital where he was taken following his arrest for public intoxication. It shows his resisting and combative. That continued at the jail. He kicked my officer. I support my officer and my officer's actions," end quote. Okay. You want to live and down that hill, that's up to you, Chief. But let's be very clear, this is a violation of protocol. There's something called red zones. You know about these because, well, you went through the police academy. So do your officers. It simply means there are certain parts of the body. We call these red zones. You all train on them. Red zones simply means if you harm someone in this particular area, it needs to be necessary, number one. And number two, you need to be aware they could actually severely be injured or perhaps die. So you do not engage in any type of red zone attack unless it is absolutely necessary to do so. So let's count the ways here, Chief. The man is incarcerated for being intoxicated, okay? It is a misdemeanor in your jurisdiction. He's in there for being intoxicated, and guess what? He acts as if he's intoxicated. That's all. He's handcuffed. He's handcuffed. All of those officers had control of his physical movement. He was not going to run somewhere. He was not going to break out. He could not harm anybody else. He was there under control of the officers. Yes, it was a physical restraint. But then this one officer, I guess he just got tired of, I don't know, the 1 or 2 minutes you all had to hold him and decided to just end everything. Why is it that he was the only officer to make that move? He didn't even have the best angle to make the move. Why did no other officer feel it was necessary to bring Mr. Shaw down head first while he was handcuffed on that concrete? Because they all knew it could likely kill him or possibly injure him severely. But your one officer made that call and you're standing by it. Shame on you. All right, Sharon, thoughts here.
A pig who likely as a child put on some kind of makeshift cape and decided he wanted to be part of WWE. I doubt he could make it there, but this is not the place nor the time to do it. The fact that no one, not his fellow officers, not when the man was defecating on himself, urinating on himself, desperate for help, said, you know what, this isn't right. And the fact that the chief with a fake looking mustache, he looks like a newsman I used to know, is putting up this pathetic lie. This is America. And it's very, very sad, but it's also disgusting.
Yeah, very much so. So these jurisdictions that continue to support each other, the sheriff jurisdiction, the city police jurisdiction, then the county as a whole, these things are going to continue to add up, not only for the taxpayer, but also for the political dynamics associated with supporting madness like this. We will bring you updates as they come.